Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is your Committee on Education. Today's date is the 12th of February, and it's about 2:05 p.m. in Conference Room 309 in the Capitol. 15 bills on the agenda today. First up, we have HB 1783. This is public and private partnerships with SFA. First up on our list, we have DOE offering comments. Next, we have Charter School Commission offering testimony and support. Oh, it's just if you please come up. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chair. We stand in on our testimony with comments. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Next on our list, we have Charter School Commission offering testimony and support in person.
And Chair, Vice Chair, thank you for this opportunity. We do definitely support this. Anything piloting or innovation, charter schools are ready to respond.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Next, we have SFA offering testimony and support in person. Executive Director.
Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair. Yeah, SFA supports this bill because Hawaii needs another way. The usual way is too expensive, too slow, and the scale of what we have to build is tremendous. I mean, what's on record right now is about 17 schools for about $3.4 billion. So there has to be another way, and there are other ways like P3s. You know, the flagship example is in Maryland, where literally 14 schools have been built in a period of time. So please consider another way.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for being here. Next, we have Hawaii Technology Academy offering testimony and support in person.
Hi, Chair, Vice Chair, Board Chairs. My name is Matt Sotelo. I am the Executive Director of Hawaii Technology Academy, the state's largest public charter school. We operate 6 campuses on 4 islands, and right now we have approximately 2,200 students. And in the past 4 years, we've grown about 60%, and particularly that growth is centered around South and Central Oahu. And despite the growth, we still have significant wait lists. And for us, facilities remain our single greatest barrier to expanding access. High real estate costs, complex permitting process limit our ability to really serve the families as we hope to do, and that are especially seeking flexible, personalized public options. So this House Bill 1783, to my mind, is a game changer because it really is going to help us meet the demonstrated community needs while leveraging smart investment strategies. I think it's a responsible path forward in enabling a public-private partnership. And on behalf of HTA, our families, I stand in support, and I want to mahalo you for your time and for your care for our keiki.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Hawaii Kids Can offering testimony and support. We have Hawaii Children's Action Network Speaks in support. HGEA offering comments in person. UPW in opposition. Aloha Project offering testimony and support. And we have 6 individuals all offering testimony and support. Anyone else? HB 1783. See none. Members with any questions?
Chair.
Vice Chair, go ahead.
For DOE, please, just briefly. Deputy. In your testimony, you had focused on whether the bill can explicitly just cover public charter schools. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I just wanted to clarify, the bill's title is relating to charter school facilities, I think. So anything that would be covered under this bill would only focus on charter schools, is what I am interpreting, but unless you have a different interpretation.
So Jesse Suki, Deputy Superintendent of Operations, State of Hawaii Department of Education. In response to your comment, under, where is it? It's under section 2 of the bill, and you get to subsection 15, they're expanding their scope of authority to partner with public and private development agencies to develop, and they're adding other public school facilities, including public charter schools. So, there's some room there for this to be interpreted with an expanded scope of authority beyond what SFA is currently doing. If it's just focused on public charter schools, our comment is, we're not as concerned.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So much. SFA, please. Thank you, Director. If you can kindly just share with and expound on what this model, should it translate to, how is this going to be operationalized? And how would you, in what it's intended to do, expand on public charter school facilities, how would this work with potentially an operator, an existing operator?
Right, so the ideal model, and it doesn't apply everywhere, it applies really in instances where there's a real estate development because you have a developer there already and they've been wanting a school for a very, very, very long time. So a charter school would partner with the developer and estimate what it would cost to build a school. And in that case, it could be using land dedicated for a school or maybe not. What the private contribution would be by the developer, because it's important to have a school in their community, what the charter school could do, and then finally what the state could do in terms of typically it's through a state contribution or what they call availability payments. But the proposal is wide open, so just let the private side come up with different models, different ideas. In the case of Maryland, it was availability payments for a lot, because it was 14 schools. But what normally would have taken 15 years to build was done in 5 years. So it's a pilot to expand what's possible and what's available, and have the private side along with the schools come up with a model for you to consider the following year.
And you're currently asking for $3 million. What would that cover?
So the intent is, and it's like capture money for proposals. You give award-winning people that submit a proposal a concept award. So some of the pre-development programming costs are paid by that. That way you get better proposals the following year. So the intent would be, if it was $3 million, maybe we would give each awardee $500,000 for capture costs for pre-development, so you get a better proposal. If it's more, then we could give them $1 million. This is similar to what's happening for the Alawai Bridge, right? The city's giving, and the federals are giving $1 million to each prospective bidder to come with a better proposal, and that's what we want to do. You want good, solid proposals that have been well thought out, and that's what this pilot does.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sure.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Charter School Commission, please. Thank you for being here. In your testimony, I think that you stated that already you have some public-private partnerships with regards to either preschools or pre-kindergartens. I'm not sure which one. Can you kind of explain what that means a little bit?
Yes, so the first of this kind of model of private-public partnership was with Parkway Village Preschool.
Oh,
so it's the state's first pre-K only charter, and so we teamed up with PACT. PACT was the nonprofit who then went into this agreement, and that helped through that development and the establishment of the first preschool.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay. Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go on to the next bill, which is HB 1778. This is regarding SFA and the establishment of a CIP database. First up on our list. We have Department of Education offering comments in person.
We rest on our testimony.
Thank you for being here. Next we have SFA and support in person.
SFA supports this bill. What this bill does is create the justification and business plan on why you should fund the projects at schools. Normally, if this were a school district on the mainland, you'd have to have an incredibly detailed plan showing the why, the how, and the when, in order to justify a significant bond fund every time. Because, right, the property taxpayers pay significant property taxes to fund what we build in schools. Because Hawaii schools are centrally funded, we don't have that discipline. What this bill does, this modernization, creates that discipline to justify the quality of our facilities, what's the condition, what has to be fixed, what type of classification is, what's the uniform code, where and when it should be done. So it creates this database that allows the legislator to make more informed decisions that normally would have been done through a property tax kind of methodology. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have HSTA offering testimony and support in person.
Who's gathering?
All right, thank you so much. Next, we have HGEA offering comments in person. Right here. Okay, we have HCAN Speaks offering testimony and support, written testimony only. And then we have several individuals, about 7, all offering testimony and support. Anyone else? HB 1778. Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Vice Chair.
For DOE, please. So in your testimony, you referenced to where data is located within various branches, and then you mentioned a Maximo database, a facilities condition index that was discontinued in 2023. Do you have anything similar as to what this bill is looking for, already currently structured and set up, and that's currently being actively used by the department?
Before I respond, if I may, I'd just like to correct some things for the record. Just, I think it was today, we were made aware that the federal government is introducing Congress a bill to provide $100 billion for schools across the country to not modernize, but address deferred maintenance issues. Because this is an issue across the entire country. And that is, the impetus for that bill is based on a GAO report in 2020 that surveyed 100,000 schools across the country and found that 54% of them have these huge deferred maintenance issues. So to say that other states haven't figured out, I think is misleading. So the issue we have in the state of Hawaii is that we do have a deferred maintenance list for all of our schools. We have that list, we know what that list says, and every year we go through that list with principals, CASs, and our department to prioritize what projects will be taken up for deferred maintenance across the 258 schools, the 6 conversion charters. And that approved by the board is what we bring to the legislature when we request for funds. So when we talk about putting $4 million or $3 million into a new technology to do what? I mean, what is it going to accomplish? I don't understand. In our project delivery, we have systems like Maximo and CPT. We have a financing software that connects things. We have GIS. Those tools have in them our facilities, square footage, the one that we talk about that hasn't been updated, the GAO report had that on average, schools update their deferred, this is not deferred maintenance, it's assessing the schools individually, one by one. They do it about every 10 years. So, we're pretty good comparatively, because since it was last updated in like 2023. So, and then, what is that used for? That stuff is rolled up into the deferred maintenance issues that we have, and that list is built upon, and these issues are identified by schools.
Deputy, if I may,
Yeah.
I think, thank you for sharing the earlier comment, but this is not about current plans. I think what we're trying to capture here is we know that we have hundreds and hundreds of buildings beyond their extended life. We know from each of our districts that we all have ongoing repair and maintenance projects that have been deferred, have been delayed that impact directly the ability of a student or an athlete or a club activity and their ability to undertake any of these types of activities. So it's very disruptive. What's missing right now is an opportunity for us as decision makers to look comprehensively at the status of all of the CIP, deferred maintenance, plans as to how it's going, what the plans are, when is it going to be completed, how's it going in other districts, so that we know how to prioritize. Because what's happening right now is we get a lump sum request, and then once we appropriate, there's no update. The update sometimes is, as we experienced in the last couple of years, was, oh, $500 million we're gonna defer, or we're gonna lapse because to on our own fault too, we over allocated for certain projects, but at the same time, there really is legitimate facilities there that need to be addressed, and so I think what this really captures is creating this transparency tool, not just for lawmakers, but for the public to be able to make better decisions on how we're prioritizing our facilities. It's, if you ask the question, what is the purpose of this bill? I think that's what we're asking you is, if you're claiming to have all of this data, why doesn't a dashboard exist?
And so to that I'll respond. The department had a dashboard at one point, and it wasn't providing the kind of information that folks looking in wanted or needed to see. And so we are working on improving that outward-facing dashboard, for lack of a better word. But we have a place to start from. We have databases that we're looking at. Right now, we're going through this process of evaluating whether or not the existing tools we have, one of them, Maximo, is being upgraded to the latest edition, and how the others can integrate. And we're looking at it from two perspectives. One, inward, how do we manage projects, which they're currently doing, and outwardly, how do we present that data in more flexible types of reports that legislators may ask for. So we're working on that. Having $3 million would help, but we're not at a point where we would make a monetary request, because as you know, with these kind of IT programs, they can go sideways really fast, and you can end up putting a lot of money into something that doesn't work in the end. So we're taking a planful approach in our updates, and I think one of the other committees, we said that we're going to have a framework for how we're doing that in the long run in summer that we're going to present to the board. But now we're doing sort of interim things we can do to make it work better.
So again, going back to my question, you currently do not have an existing active dashboard that could be utilized as to what with the data that was being requested.
So there's a couple ways to come at it. So one is with project CIP updates. We send a letter at least twice a year to all legislators that talk about the projects in the legislator's district and the status of that project. So that's the CIP. For the deferred for the deferred maintenance projects, those projects are also in that letter. For the ones that move forward that get funding. And then we have the CPT, we're working on having the data in there updated more often, because what happens is, the staff workflow, they're not updating the outward facing one timely enough. So we're working on improving that. So we do have like an outward facing tool that folks can look at, legislators can look at. But if you wanted a really updated list for your district, that letter we sent around has the updated information on the projects that are being worked on.
I think what you're expressing is very different from what could be a publicly accessible site that easily captures this point in time, real data on where all projects are, just transparency on where we're allocating our dollars and as to the progress we're doing things. So I'll rest on my questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Members, any other questions? Seeing none, we're going to go on to the next bill, which is HB 2344, Independent Public School Realignment and Closure Commission. First we have on our list is the Department of Education offering comments. HB 2344.
Aloha, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Lachika, and members of the committee. I'm Elizabeth Higashi, the Assistant Superintendent, testifying on behalf of the department. The department stands on its written testimony and comments that we have proposed a timeline approach and methodology to the Board of Education regarding school consolidations. We just want to emphasize that for us in the department, it is really critical for us to be part of the process of school consolidations in order to ensure education and students remain a focus throughout. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we also have the Board of Education offering comments. They're not here. We have SFA offering comment in person.
Thank you. We have comments in that this bill is incredibly timely. Hawaii has changed, our schools have not. We can't kick the can down the road any longer, given the federal climate. Significant cuts in federal programs will require three things. You either raise taxes, or you cut federal funding for key programs like SLAP, TANF, healthcare, shelter, or you restructure government. What this, our comment for this bill is it's restructuring government. And what's the best way to do it with following a successful model of BRAC? For those of you who aren't familiar with BRAC, at the close of the Cold War, we had a similar kind of problem. We had all these military bases. BRAC, through a series of subsequent years, closed 350 military bases across the world. Even one here, Barbers Point. It led to the Presidio in San Francisco, an incredible national monument that was repurposing all these lands. So we have that same challenge right now, right? We're at this point where in Hawaii we have the same enrollment in 1961, yet we have 43 more schools. So we've been kicking this can down the road all this time. Now it's time for some bold ideas like this bill, which uses a successful BRAC model to pave the way and make this happen. One specific comment that we want to add to the current bill is that it says to put this land with the SFA, and really we're not the ones that should be stewards of this land. It should be a bigger agency. It should be a movement where a group that has a whole land group, because you're going to have to clear title, find easements, look for other things as you redevelop this land. And you're going to have other departments that has to reimagine the reuse of this land, just like the Barbers Point Naval Air Station. So, to me, the key is the timeliness of this bill and how important it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We saw that in your testimony. Next, we have AG's office offering testimony, offering comments, in person.
Good afternoon, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Chica, Committee, Randall Watt, Deputy Attorney General, on behalf of the Department. As described in our written testimony, the Department has comments regarding Section 2, subsection E. There's a reference to administrative support that it deems necessary to fulfill the duties of the Commission. But it's unclear whether or not it is the Department of Accounting and General Services or the Commission itself. Regarding Section 2, subsection H, there is an or between subsections H1 and H2. The approval of the governor needs to occur before it's transmitted, so we recommend that it be changed to and. Regarding Section 4, subsection B, the bill contemplates that closed schools shall be transferred to the SFA for disposition. This would appear to conflict with HRS sections 302A-1151 and 302A-1151.5. So if the intent of the legislature is to bestow this authority upon the SFA, we recommend that these other statutes be amended to align with that. And finally, small technical thing on page 7, line 17, there appears to be no section 3. It skips over from section 2 to section 3. Thank you
so much.
That will be about it.
Thank you. Next, we have DAGs offering comments. And a couple others. We have HGEA offering testimony in opposition. Similarly so, UPW also in opposition. One individual in support. Anyone else? HB 2344. Seeing none, members, are there any questions? A quick question for DOE. Thank you for being here. Can you just like quickly explain the current consolidation process that's laid out in current statute and also in HAR?
So currently in the HAR, the process has, looks at 3 critical areas, looking at utilization of space, enrollment, and facilities, and looking at threshold they use is a 2/3 threshold in regards to. So any of those 3 criteria can trigger a consolidation study. So under the administrative rule, what happens is we would report to the board a list of schools that we feel would be studied, and that would trigger a process where the department would then have to analyze data to then determine what recommendation the superintendent would then take to the board on whether a consolidation were to occur or perhaps the consolidation is not recommended. So once the report and study is provided to the Board of Education, which would go through the FIC, Financial Infrastructure Committee, at that time it triggers public hearings. At that, we give the opportunity for the public at that time to share what their thoughts are regarding the recommendation. After the public hearing, a report is then provided to the superintendent to then provide an updated recommendation that is made at that time back to the board for action.
It's pretty well laid out. Okay, thank you so much. Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing that, we're going to go on to the next bill, which is HB, what is it, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is with regards to SFA and the establishment of a geographic CIP district. Okay, first up, we have DOE in opposition.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Jesse Suki, Deputy Superintendent of Operations, Department of Education. We vote in opposition of this bill. We believe that this is a duplicative process. We're concerned about spending money wisely. The process wouldn't be duplicated. Some of the stuff in the bill that's being proposed are already being done. We do have district project coordinators across the state in geographic areas who are responsible for coordinating projects in those geographic areas. Like we spoke about before, we have a list of projects that we're working on, projects that were appropriated money. I don't know how this will help streamline, it will create confusion by having 2 separate agencies. Again, SFA is a separate agency, doing the same thing at the same time. So we rest and have questions if you have them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Suki. Next, we have SFA offering comments in person.
Thank you, committee. Our comments are that the issue is localization versus centralization. Localization makes a lot of sense because, as you know, each island and county has separate requirements for permitting, a separate permitting department. It has a separate fire department, a separate fire chief. It has a separate water department, different water rules. So you really want localized managers resident to the island that know all those facets in order to fix the schools, that live on the island, know the schools, visit with the schools constantly, work with, like on the neighbor islands, DAGs. So right now on the neighbor islands, right, repair and maintenance work orders are with DAGs. It knows the DAGs personnel, essential services, that takes all these work orders. So one person is accountable for everything, and they're local, and they're there. And so that's what would work, given the way schools and projects are done in Hawaii.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, we have testimony from the AG's office offering comments in person.
Good afternoon again, Chair, Vice Chair, to the committee, and White again for the department. Again, as in our describing our testimony, has comments. Section 3, subsection C of the bill provides that all appropriations, items of appropriation, and unexpended balances of funds, including federal funds, designated for deferred maintenance or facilities development within the DOE are transferred to the School Facilities Authority. This part, or facilities development, appears to extend beyond the stated purpose of the bill. Purpose enumerated on page 2, lines 8 through 17 of the bill, and doesn't seem to extend to that. So, if that is the case, then it should be amended. Additionally, Department notes that the term deferred maintenance is not defined in HRS Chapter 302A. In our written testimony, recommend that if the committee chooses to add a definition, that maybe reflect HRS Section 37-68.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Hawaii Children's Action Network Speaks, offering testimony and support. We have HGEA providing comments. We have EPW in opposition. And we have one individual in support. Anyone else? HB 2345. Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go on to the next bill, which is HB 1780. This is with regards to student transportation. First up, we have is Deal E, offering comments.
Hello, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Chica, members of the committee, Shah Tajima, Assistant Superintendent, testify on behalf of the Department of Education. The department stands on its written testimony which provides comments on this measure. The department has concerns about the measure because federal privacy laws prohibit automatic sharing of free reduced lunch meal data for bus eligibility. The department also has concerns about prioritized seating based on income, as there are other factors that create a need for school bus, such as distance from school and lack of safe walking paths. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have HSTA offering testimony and support in person.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, Sarah Malianta laughing on behalf of HSTA. We love this bill. We were really supportive last session of Senate Bill, of House Bill 1300, which expanded free lunch access. Here's the deal, so we gave more kids free lunch. They don't have a way to get to school. And I will tell you, as 21 years as a public school teacher, I can teach anybody to get into my classroom, but you gotta get in there. So if we want to cut absenteeism, this is absolutely the right measure we want to do to get more kids into our classrooms on time so they can learn. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, we have Hawaii Public Health Institute offering testimony and support via Zoom.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Patty Haziz-Stavrakis, and I am the Active Transportation Specialist with the Hawaii Public Health Institute. We, along with the Healthy Eating and Active Living Statewide Coalition, support this measure and stand on our comments, including respectfully requesting a few amendments. Transportation is a key driver of school attendance, and even small fares create real barriers as Hawaii's cost of living continues to rise. Keiki make up about 20% of our population, yet have some of the most limited mobility options. We already have proof that this can work. Maui offers free youth transit, and Hawaii County's free fare system has more than doubled its ridership. Although providing free transit for youth whose households qualify for free and reduced price lunch is a step in the right direction, universal access would remove income barriers, improve attendance, reduce traffic and emissions, and connect youth to education, healthcare, and jobs. We hope to see a future where all of our youth are riding public transit on a regular basis. Thank you very much for this opportunity to testify.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have HCAN Speaks, offering testimony and support. So the written testimony. And we have 8 individuals all offering testimony and support. Anyone else? HB 1780. Seeing none, are there any questions? Vice Chair.
Department, please, Assistant Superintendent. Thank you for being here. Full disclosure, this is my bill. The intent of this bill is precisely what HSTA had mentioned. Because of our historic passage of Senate Bill 1300 to expand free school meals, we're trying to capture the new group of students to fold into your current bus application process. Because presently, It's my understanding that DOE does have an opportunity through the bus application process to provide a free bus pass to students who check, or parent households that check that they qualify for free school meals. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And does the department currently have, as part of your mechanism, a way to, for those students covered by that definition, to go through the consent, the parental consent process, and then do the data sharing as mentioned in your testimony?
For the students with free lunch?
Yes.
So it's as you said, on the bus application, they need to check a box that gives us access to their free lunch status. The issue with the bill to streamline it, and it totally makes logical sense to make it easier on one application, but the free reduced lunch application is a federal application, and we cannot share info with that automatically even within the agency. So we can access it as long as they fill out the bus application and check off that box.
So going back to your comment, you said you do have the current mechanism. Once they check off, so they apply for a school bus, right?
Yep.
I mean a bus pass.
Yes.
They check the box, but that also gives parental consent to share that information if they opt into, saying
Correct.
that they expressly fall under. So wouldn't that same logic apply now that we've expanded coverage to reduced and then expanded coverage next year, beginning next school year, 300%? If again, the parent goes into the current application and say, according to, the current program, DOE program rules, my family qualifies for free school meals, can I be considered? I give my consent. Would the department then be able to administer this if we just focus on that part? That's what I'm really intending to do, is look at these population of students.
So you're looking at, because the students with free lunch are already eligible for free bus pass,
Right.
the reduced students and the ALICE students would be eligible for free bus.
Yeah.
So we could add that on. That would be additional funding for that. So it would just be a funding issue for that.
But on the funding part, we do have separate bills. I also sit on the transportation committee that look at Keiki Ride Free, Duck County Express bus programs. So if we fund that, will that then open up funding for what you're currently allocating for the bus passes? Because if funding does shift over to that portion to the Department of Transportation, wouldn't that be a potential pot of
Potentially,
funds?
I'm not sure how it would check out, but that would help to provide extra funding for that.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Good questions. Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna go on to the next bill, which is HB 1785. This is with regards to the DOE bus routes, contractors, and performance failures. First up, we have this DOE in person offering comments.
Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Lachika, members of the committee, Shantajima, testify on behalf of the Department of Education. The department stands in its written testimony which provides comments on this measure. The department has concerns about the measure because fragmenting contracts by individual routes and bypassing procurement laws for 30 months would undermine established fiscal safeguards without solving the root cause of service disruptions, which is a statewide driver shortage. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have AG's office offering testimony, offering comments in person.
Good afternoon, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Lachika, members, Ann Horiuchi from the Department of the Attorney General. As we noted in our testimony, the bill establishes significant consequences for non-performance. So to promote clarity and reduce the likelihood of disputes, we're recommending that a new section be added to the bill that would require express reference to the new statute in any DOE solicitations and contracts for student transportation services. And we've provided some suggested language in our testimony. Thank you.
Next, we have SPO offering comments. And we have Aloha Project offering testimony and support, written testimony. Then we have 6 testifiers, all in support, individuals. Anyone else? HB 1785. Seeing none, members, any questions? Seeing none, we'll go to the next bill. This bill is HB 2454. This is with regards to safe school routes. First up on our list, we have Department of Health offering comments. Here, we also have.
Good morning. Sorry, we're on Zoom today.
Right.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair LaChica, and members of the committee. I'm Heidi Hansen-Smith for the Department of Health, and we'll stand on our testimony providing comments to the public health impacts of this measure, as well as our experience with the Safe Routes to School Advisory Committee. I'm here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for being here via Zoom. That's via Department of Transportation offering testimony and support via Zoom as well.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. This is Robin Shishiro with Hawaii Department of Transportation, and stand by our submitted testimony and strong support. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We also have Hawaii Bicycle League in opposition.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. You have my written testimony before you, so I just want to highlight a few additional points that as educators and as education policymakers, you know that you can't expect students to thrive if you change standards and metrics one year, implement the program the following year, and then seek to change the standards and metrics again in the subsequent year. Because this measure would create loss of statewide coordination through the removal of the State Routes to School Program Coordinator, reduced community engagement, and diminished oversight and transparency, I respectfully urge you on behalf of our members to defer this measure for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have AARP Hawaii offering testimony in opposition via Zoom.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. I'm Audrey Suga-Nakagawa from AARP. We stand on our testimony in opposition of the bill as it's currently written. We understand that the bill intent is to strengthen accountability of the program. However, we are very concerned that it weakens the other key elements of the program, as earlier stated by the testifier before me. And ARP's interest in this area is really because of building safe communities, safe walkable communities. It's not just only for our children, but it's also for people of all ages, including the kapuna who walk their grandchildren to school. And so we want to make sure that we are continuing to putting in efforts to really build a safe, walkable community for all. So for that, we oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Ulupono Initiative offering testimony in opposition in person.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Mariah Yoshizu on behalf of Ulupono Initiative. Ulupono respectfully opposes this measure. While we do appreciate the intent of this bill to streamline processes and improve the deployment of funds, which are goals that we also absolutely share, we have concerns on how some of the proposed changes may affect the Safe Routes to School programs framework. We've outlined a few clarifying questions in our written testimony that we hope the committee will take into consideration, particularly around governance, transparency, and accountability, and ensuring a robust and community-driven program. We're grateful for the committee's work on this measure, and we hope that you will take our comments into consideration. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have Get Fit Koa'i offering testimony in opposition. Only written testimony. Hawaii Appleseed offering comments. And we have 6 individuals, 4 of which are in opposition. Is that right? Actually, we have 14 individuals, 4 in opposition, the rest in support. Anyone else? HB 2454. Okay, seeing none, members, are there any questions?
Chair, I have a question.
Chair of Transportation, please go ahead.
DOT.
Yes.
Deputy, 2 questions. So, from my reading of the bill, you folks are just asking that the funds are not expended by the county that's selected, that you folks would encumber the monies or potentially be the person to execute the project?
We'll be we're asking that we also be allowed to spend money on our roadways or even on other county facilities. I think originally it was not so clear, and there were some questions as the projects were being developed, and the advisory committee was going through it. So this language would just make it really clear that DOT can also expend the funds on projects.
Because from my read of the bill, we're still allowing the Safe Routes to School working group working group to still determine rank-based projects. Just it allows you folks as a mechanism to expend funds, and the purpose or happening the county does not expend the fund in the time that is allocated.
Yes, the advisory committee will still have that and approve the projects, correct.
And clarifying question for the chair, we didn't have anybody from the county testify?
We did not.
Okay, because I think, then this is my question to you, Deputy. My frustration is last year we passed a bill that dedicated Safe Routes to School funding that the county shall assess at their motor vehicle registration. From my understanding, January 1st, that was the effective date. Do we, at that time, we still had no counties assessing the fee. Is that still current?
Yeah, in our last check with them, they had not assessed the fee yet, and I don't know if they had to update their system to allow that additional fee to be added on, but we can follow up with them again.
I would hope so, because they can assess every other fee. This was dedicated funding to them, upwards of $6 million a year that we authorized at that level for assessment. And if I could ask then to the chair, could we request that the DOT provide follow-up to the committee to figure out where the counties are at? Because that's been my whole frustrating thing, is that they had more than enough time to implement this. There was the effective date giving them 6 months to prepare. All that money is still sitting out there, and if I could ask one question then for DOT to follow up with the chair, how are they going to plan to recoup the funds for registrations that are occurred after the date of implementation? Because you cannot activate somebody's registration from January 1st of a missing fee that you implement after the fact. So, does that make sense, Deputy? If you could clarify with the chair where we are at with the county implementation, and what is their process to recoup the registrations that were not in compliance as of January 1st?
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And Chair, just to clarify, actually to correct myself, there was testimony not provided in person, but submitted by the Department of Transportation, City and County.
Services.
Providing comments.
CTS.
Thank you. So we do have that. We have receipts of that. Making that clarification. Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Aloha, sorry, this is Renee from City and County. I had very bad service. Hold over now.
You are.
Renee!
He's talking about you.
Oh my! At the peak of what you guys' comments, my service went out. I'm sorry, I'm on my way actually to an elementary school thing for my son, ironically. Let me know if you have questions.
I do. Chair, could I ask?
Yes.
Thank you. Renee, there was a bill passed last year that allowed it mandated the assessment of a $5 registration fee assessed at the county level to be deposited into the Special Safe Routes to School Fund. Estimated that if every county, when they adopt at full functioning, this would be $6 million deeded to the Safe Routes to School Fund. Deputy Director Shishiro confirmed that as of January 1st, there were no counties implementing this fee, even though the effective date was January 1st, and we requested that they would give us a 90-day notice of when they would implement the fee. So I would ask them if you could please share with the committee a timeline for DTS Honolulu for adopting this fee and working to backdate the retroactive fees that are not being assessed as of January 1st.
Okay, to be completely honest with you, I'm unaware of this law. I am happy to work with our Department of Customer Services, who does all of our registration, to get on it. If you guys, we can work with Robin to find the detailed information. I apologize. This is honestly has not been on our radar, and obviously has a lot of potential. So I will personally follow up on it and get back to you, Representative.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Quick follow-up, Chair.
Vice Chair.
Sorry, follow-up to Renee. Renee, are you currently a member of the Safe Routes to School Advisory Committee?
I am not. Yamata Sasaki is our Safe Routes to School coordinator for City and County. She has been for many years. So she represents the city there. She works very closely with a lot of us in the city who are going to be the intended recipients of the funds. The folks who actually do the projects. So I do not sit on that committee, but we are well represented there. Like we said in our testimony, you know, we're very, very excited for the potential for this funding. It is desperately needed. We just don't have nearly enough money to satisfy all the needs that we hear from the public. And so we have, you know, submitted our projects for several years. They're all active projects that need funding. So we greatly support the committee and their efforts. And we do participate through our coordinator.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Member, any questions? Okay, we're going to go on to the next bill, which is HB 1781, with regards to the Department of Education and numeracy coaches for teachers. First up, we have Bill E, offering testimony in support.
Yes. Aloha Chair Woodson and Vice Chair Lachika, members of the committee. Chair Yoshijima, Assistant Superintendent, representing the Hawaii Department of Education today. The department stands on its written testimony in support of HB 1781, supporting the establishment of the numeracy coaching program. This is in line with our board-approved budget request. And we want to really express our appreciation for this bill that recognizes the importance of coaching to increase student achievement. So mahalo for letting us testify.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for being here. Next, we have Hawaii Kids Can offering testimony and support. We have individuals, 6, all in support, 1 offering comments. Anyone else? HB 1781, coaching. Seeing that, members with any questions? Straightforward. Okay, seeing that, we're going to go on to the next bill, which is HB 2297. This is regarding an update for our state statutes to comport with federal law. First up, we have on our testifiers list, Department of Education, and support in person.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Terry Shijima again testifying on behalf of the Department of Education. The department stands on its written testimony in strong support of HB 2297. This bill updates the scope of the department's adult education program to align with the Federal Adult Education and Family Literacy Act, what we call AFLA grant requirements, and it replaces outdated language. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on this measure and for your continued support of the department's adult education programs.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for being here. Next, we have University of Hawaii Community Colleges offering comments and 1 individual in support. Anyone else? HB 2297. Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Quick question for DOE, if I may ask, did you see UHCC's testimony? I just wanted to fold into.
Yeah, yes, we did see it. And we're open to discussing any proposed edits to the language. Our intention for this bill was to really update the existing language in the law so that it is aligned with the AFLA requirements and reflective of our current programs in our adult education.
Okay, so you need more time to look at that language right now? Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions? Seeing none, we're going to go on to the next bill, which is HB 2019. This is with regards to FCILs and DOEL. First up on our list, we have Office of the Mayor in support. Oh, this is from Kauai, but go ahead. So you kind of went a little.
Go ahead. Sorry. Hi, Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Lachika, members of the committee. I'm Juliana on behalf of Department of Community Services with the City and County of Honolulu. We stand on our written testimony in strong support of this bill and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for being here. Next we have EOEL offering testimony and support via Zoom. Oh,
Chair Woodson, apologies, we have a board meeting. EOEL stands on our written testimony and support. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have the Early Learning Board, importantly offering testimony and support. Right out here. We have Department of Community Services, which just went, in support. We have Commit to Keiki, offering testimony and support in person.
New Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committees, Jared Ellis on behalf of Early Childhood Action Strategy and Commit to Keiki. We are testifying in support of this measure and we will stand on our written testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Next, we have White Children's Action Network Speaks, giving testimony and support in person. They're here. Early Childhood Action Network. Next, we have Early Childhood Action Strategies, offering testimony and support. Thank you so much. We have Partners in Development Foundation, offering testimony and support in person.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm Terry Nakamura from Partners in Development Foundation. We are in strong support of this bill. Our program company has the largest provider for sales in the state. So we really appreciate your consideration.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have testimony from Patch in person. Is that Fitz from Maui? I can't even tell. Is that you? Yeah. Thank you for being here, brother.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have Early Childhood Action Strategies, another one, individual offering testimony and support. Sorry, we have multiple. Okay. We have several individuals from Keiki, Oka'aina Family Centers offering testimony and support. Please come up.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Melody Vega, the Chief Early Education Officer for Keiki-Oka'aina Family Learning Centers. And I just wanted to share that these programs are not new programs. They're almost 40 years old right now, best known back then as the Kamehameha Schools Traveling Preschool. Within the last 10 years, they've served over 50,000 children and their families. At Keiki-Oka'aina, the Family Child Interaction Learning Programs are the center of our early learning system because families and parents and adults are the center of a young child's life. We are here to answer any questions you might have, and thank you for it.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your testimony. And we have testimony also from Chamber of Commerce Hawaii in support.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. The Chamber stands on this testimony in support.
Thank you so much. And we have testimony from 9 individuals, all in support. Anyone else? HB 2019. Please come up.
Aloha Chair Woodson, Vice Chair LaChica, members of the committee, thank you for your time this afternoon. My name is Brittany. I work with Partners in Development Foundation, and I strongly support this measure. I stand on my written testimony, and every day I'm reminded how important these FCIL programs are to not only our keiki, but to support families as a whole. And these programs are essential to the support net of Hawaii's communities, And I'm sure, as you know, there's a need for family support and keiki school readiness, and these FCIL programs are here to meet that need. So I thank you for your time this afternoon and appreciate your support.
Thank you for your testimony. Anyone else? HB 2019. Okay, seeing none, members, are there any questions? Okay, Vice Chair, please go ahead.
Commit to keiki, please. Thank you for being here. In your testimony, you mentioned that there is threats on federal funding. If you can please elaborate on what you're currently tracking, and do you know how much is at risk?
Sure, Vice Chair. What I can say about the threats of federal funding is that these programs have traditionally relied on federal funding to operate for the most part. This past budget cycle at the federal level, that funding was put at risk and was actually zeroed out in several drafts. I do believe it has been restored for the coming year through September, but it does signal willingness from this administration to cut this traditionally pretty steady funding. As to what the effect of that cut would be, I would probably defer to one of the FCIL operators here today.
Partners in development, please.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So what are you hearing from all our FCIL providers on the risk of, risk of potentially losing instability with the funding?
Yeah, so we're happy that it seems like the NHEP Native Hawaiian Education Program has been fully funded, but there's still some hurdles to be jumped over. So there's a talk of a transition from the USDOE to the Department of the Interior. And there's concern whether the current NHEP staff will be transferred along with that change, if there'll be a delay, and if there'll be a delay in the RFP process. If there is, our current funding ends end of August, and there'll be about at least 3/4 of our funding gone if that happens.
So because there's this gap in the movement from DOE to Department of Interior, administrative change, let's say, even if with the funding kept intact, the release of funds, how many months are we talking about for you not having funding?
That's uncertain, yeah. So we're preparing to do our best without that fund and trying to raise other funds, but.
Do you have an amount? Do you have what this could potentially impact?
So I believe for the state, for our 3 FCILs, NPs, Keikokaina, and PID, it's about 20 million for FCILs. Yeah, for PID, it's about 11.5 million.
Yeah, just because if we operate on this legislative and then budget cycle, and if you get affected in August, and then we wait until after the following session, right? Then that creates this potential number of months where you might be unfunded. So if you can get us that information, I think that would help us, help the committee at least track it.
You said 20 million and then 11.5, is that accurate, do you believe?
I believe that's accurate.
Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go on to the next bill, which is HB 2127. This is with regards to a civic education grant program. First up on our list, we have the Department of Education offering testimony and support in person.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Terry Ushijima. The department stands on its written testimony in support of HD 2127 and want to note that middle school is really a crucial time, and we believe that this is a very impactful stage, and the department has focused on middle level education because of that. So thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Hawaii Alliance of Progressive Action offering testimony and support in person. Apapa is here. Next, we have PACE Commission in support via Zoom.
Aloha Chair Woodson, Vice Chair Lachika, and members of the committee. I'm Colin Moore on behalf of the PACE Commission, here to testify in strong support of HB 2127. As you know, this bill makes a targeted and practical investment in civic education, a pivotal moment in students' development. Middle and intermediate school are the years where young people begin forming lasting understandings of their role in public life. I want to draw your attention to the PACE Commission's recent statewide civic survey of 883 educators that makes clear that teachers value civic education but often lack the resources to deliver it at the level they believe is necessary. We found that 71% of teachers and 3/4 of administrators identified improving civics pedagogy as a top professional development priority, but only 17% of DOE teachers report receiving the civics-specific training they need at least once a year, and fewer than 1 in 3 middle school teachers say they have adequate civics-focused materials, which is why we're so enthusiastic about this bill that focuses on middle and intermediate schools. And so the PACE Commission strongly supports this bill, and we thank you for the opportunity to testify.
That 70% figure, what's the source document for that?
It is the PACE Commission's survey of HIDO teachers that's on the PACE website. We'd be happy to share the full report with you. And And Rosanna Fukuda, if she's there, can get that to you as well.
Okay, thank you so much, please do. Next, we have Hawaii Children's Action Network Speaks, offering testimony and support. We have the Democratic Party of Hawaii Education Caucus offering testimony and support. We have American Judicature Society in support. We have Hawaii University of Hawaii Professional Assembly offering testimony and support. We have Ho'oloha Project offering testimony and support. We have AAUW Hawaii testimony and support. Green Party of Hawaii in support. Democratic Party of Hawaii in support. And we have 17 individuals all offering testimony in support. Anyone else? HB 2127, Civics Education Grant Program. Okay, seeing none, members, are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go on to the next bill, which is HB 2470. This is regarding Department of Education BOE and financial literacy in schools. First up, we have Board of Education offering comments. They're not here. DOE offering comments in person.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Terry Ushijima. We provide written testimony offering comments on this bill. And we want to just point out that the department has implemented a requirement for all students, starting with the freshmen incoming 2026 to 2027, to complete a financial literacy opportunity prior to graduation that's aligned with the financial literacy program standards. The department feels that it's really important that we have different options for schools and students. And what is suggested here is one of the options that we are looking into in terms of incorporating financial literacy into existing coursework. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Chamber of Commerce offering testimony and support in person.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. The Chamber stands in support and would like to yield its time to our expert in the field, Vice President of Education, Lord Wright.
Okay, please come up.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. We just want to add a little bit more color to why we are supporting the bill here. So one of them is the ask from employers to support more financial literacy as a foundational skill for the workforce moving forward. In addition to that, we're hearing one of the parts of the bill is we're providing more professional development and training through appropriated funds. So we want to make sure our teachers are well prepared for this as well. And there's a trend of asking for more professional development, externships, particularly around workforce needs and career technical education, but we think because of the employer asks, this supplements some of that work as well. Thank you for your time, and we are here if you have any more questions.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, we have Aloha Project offering testimony and support, written testimony. Next, we have the Hawaii Bankers Association in support. And we have 4 individuals all offering testimony and support. Anyone else? HB 2470. Seeing none, members, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go on to the next bill, which is HB 2563. This is regarding cell phone ban for DOE schools. First up, we have Board of Education offering comments. They're not here. We have AG's office offering comments.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair members, and Horiuchi from the AG's office. As stated in our testimony, the department is concerned that the bill's exception permitting use only for instructional purposes may be too limited. Some students may need to access a phone or related device pursuant to an IEP, a Section 504 plan, or as required by the ADA. So in our testimony, we provided some suggested language that we think could be added to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Next, we have individual testimony from 5 people, all in support. Anyone else? HB 2563. Oh, Mr. Fitzpatrick, please come up from Maui.
Aloha, Chair and members of the Education Committee. My name is John Fitzpatrick. My students call me Mr. Fitz. I teach at Kulani-Hako'i High School on Maui. We are definitely going through some growing pains as a brand new school on Maui. Still need funding to finish building our school, but that's not what this bill is about. But yeah, anyways, I think very strongly that cell phones should be banned from schools. The research shows that it really affects our children. Our children are highly addicted to these devices. And last year, if you walked around Kulani-Hako'i, it was like this at recess and lunch, and they weren't talking to each other in classes. It was like this until this year, our new VP like really got strict about it and supports us this year. So if a kid is on their phone, we can call security and they can come take the phone away. But until we had support from a really good administrator, it was really bad. Over the last 2 years, I've been told F off 4 times, or maybe 5 times by now, for asking a kid to put their cell phone in a bag or a pocket. So their addiction is real, and I think this goes a long way to helping them deal with this. I did bring this up at HSTA RA last year, and it was divisive, but I think the way you guys wrote it, where if a teacher wants to include a cell phone in their classroom and instruction, they can. So I think that takes away what was argued in the debate in the RA last year. So thank you guys for hearing this, and thank you guys for passing a lot of really important bills for teachers and for our students last week. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. Okay, that's all I have on my list. Is there anyone else? HB 2563. Okay, we're going to go on to the next bill, the last bill on the agenda, which is HB 1717. This is with regards to antihistamine administered at DOE schools. First up on our list, we have Department of Education in opposition.
Aloha Chair Woods and Vice Chair Latika, nice to see you and committee members. Kina O. Gardner from the Department of Education, and we stand on our written testimony which provides comments.
Comments, thank you. We have DOE, and we have stated comments on our list. That was my mistake. We have DOE in opposition. In person. And that's all I have on my list. Is there anyone else? Or actually, we have 3 more. We have AG's office offering testimony, offering comments.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair members, and Ryuchi from the AG's office. In the bill, one thing we wanted to make clear was that we thought it should be made clear that parents or guardians would be the ones to provide the medications should they be stored at the school. So we've suggested language that could be inserted in the bill to make that clear. We also suggested some clarifying amendments to a couple of other sections in the bill, and that's also set forth in our testimony. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, for being here. We have 2 individuals offering testimony in support. One offering testimony in support via Zoom, Mrs. Lanai, via Zoom in support. Kimberly.
There she is.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Kimberly Lani. I'm testifying from Molokai as a parent advocating for student health and safety. I support HB 1717. My son has a life-threatening wheat allergy and attends public school in Molokai. In school year 23-24, he was served wheat 5 times in the school cafeteria, despite a well-documented 504, DOH emergency plan, and J1 food accommodations. And although he identified the wheat on 4 occasions, he ingested the wheat through a soup on the 5th exposure. So I responded to the school, transported my son to the ER with the EpiPen in hand. No ambulance was called. My son's treating allergist specifically prescribes Benadryl to be given immediately following an EpiPen injection. However, under the current DOE guidance, Benadryl is withheld due to some gray areas. On Molokai, we have 1 hospital and I believe just 2 ambulances. So emergency delays are very real and scary for everyone involved, especially my son. And I believe also the supervising school health aide. So allowing the staff to administer antihistamines as the bill proposes could slow the allergic reaction, stabilize the child, and literally save a life before the help can arrive. So I urge you to pass HB 1717 for clarity, and mahalo for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. That's all I have on my list. Is there anyone else? HB 1717. Please come up.
Good afternoon, Diana Felton, DOH, Communicable Disease and Public Health Nursing Division. I apologize, I believe we submitted written testimony before the deadline, but. Okay, great, yeah, we stand on a written testimony. We're here for questions, thank you.
Thank you. Offering comments. Anyone else? HB 1717. Okay, seeing none. Members, any questions? Okay. Vice Chair.
Question for DOE, please, Ms. Gardner. If you can kind of respond to the previous testifier, what is the protocol? And in this case, if there's already a plan that is provided by the parents, how is that administered? Because, I recall there was similar legislation last year that we considered that the department, I think, did support, where it does give authority to administer some medication as long as it's part of the prior authorization is already provided by the parents.
Right, and this one was a little bit different because it's looking for stock, and that the school would stock the medicine and then make a clinical diagnosis. And so I think our concern with the bill is that it shifts the responsibility to non-clinical personnel. And I do have Ben Kalinsky with me, so he is our nurse 6, and I think he can elaborate a little bit more.
Hello, members of the committee. Ben Kalinsky, the Office of Student Support Services, the school section. So our provisions currently under law allow the request for medications from parents with a written consent and prescription from their provider, qualified provider, a assessment for the approval of that medication is performed by a registered nurse, primarily from the Department of Health. This has been a longstanding tradition. So medications are necessary for school attendance under that provision. So that allows us to provide emergency medications. The majority of epinephrine is provided by our school health assistants and other trained staff. And in cases where we need a higher level authority or a licensed professional to make a clinical decision, there's a registered nurse, either through contract or other pathways for the department to ensure that that student has access to that medication. So the concerns with the bill are partly it creates regulatory issues for the department, particularly for the medication not being prescribed explicitly in the bill. Really prevents registered nurses from interacting with that process entirely, which means they can't train, they can't evaluate the medication in order to assist the schools in the ways that we do currently to make sure these things are done safely and appropriately. And the concern with antihistamines is not necessarily preventing the epinephrine being provided, which is really the consensus medical direction.
So just to clarify, you're not in, because we did receive your testimony that was in opposition. So you're not in opposition to the access portion, but you're in opposition to the first part of the bill, which you may maintain supply and then may administer over the counter.
Right, yeah. The issue I think also with this is that the decision to provide a medication in some cases can be either legislated or delegated by a registered nurse. So the legislation that allows school staff to be trained on certain medications is really intentionally limited to where it's considered safe by public health officials and by licensed professionals. That's really a key sort of safety mechanism. When we talk about antihistamines, these are provided in instances of mild to moderate allergic reactions, which requires more advanced qualifications, really. That's actually, in my professional opinion as a nurse, registered nurse within the state, a nursing licensed activity and is not permitted under the Board of Nursing regulations to be delegated to unlicensed personnel. So that's something the bill just doesn't address, unfortunately. And for someone to be able to have that access to that medication. The important thing is to discriminate anaphylaxis, which epinephrine is the gold standard for, and shouldn't be delayed for something like an antihistamine. So in school settings, public community settings, that's the focused response, and we know we can prepare individuals to administer that medication under the law and with those provisions.
Thank you. Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Members, any other questions? Okay, quick recess. convening for decision-making on several bills. First up, we have HB 1783. This is with regards to public-private partnerships and SFA members. The recommendation is at HD1. We're going to remove the term on page 7 with regards to other public school facilities. That's regarding DOE's concern. Also blank out the amounts and incorporate it into the committee report, and we will defect the date to July 1st, 3000. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote, please.
Chair, members voting on House Bill 1783, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Amato.
Aye.
Representative Ebsling.
Aye.
Representative Garrett is excused. Representative Capella.
Aye.
Representative Kila.
Aye.
Representative Olds.
Aye.
Representative Moroka.
Aye.
Representative Souza.
Aye.
Thank you, Chair. Recommendations adopted.
Thank you, members. Going on to the next bill, which is HB 1778, SFA and CIP databases. The recommendation is at HD1, blanking out the dollar amount, adding it to the committee report, and defecting the date. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 1778, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Noting the excused absence for Representative Garrett through the rest of the agenda and rest of the members present, are there any members wishing to vote with reservation? Any members wishing to vote no? Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Going on to the next bill, which is HB 2344. This is Independent School Realignment and Closure Commission. Recommendation is that HD1 first per DOE testimony. We're going to add an educational administrator to the membership of the commission. We're also going to clarify on page 4, subsection E, that's under section 2, that the it in that is referring to DAG. So DAGs to replace the term it per AG's recommendation. Also, we're going to accept AG's other technical recommendations. And we're going to take out subsection B that's found on page 8. That's lines 56. That's with regards to giving SFA responsibility of taking over the land if there's compression or a transfer. We don't want to do that because there's existing statute that's involving DOE, charter schools, DLNR, and probably also DLNR, so we do not want to do that. There's many conflicts. And we'll also, members, blank out the amount offered in the appropriation line. We're not going to reference that in the committee report because there's a disagreement on the cost impact. We need to massage this bill more, but for now, we're also just going to defect the date, so it's going to be boomerang back to committee conference. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Members voting on House Bill 2344, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Any members voting with reservation?
Reservations.
Noting reservation for Representative Amato and Representative Olds. Any other members voting with reservation? Any members voting no? Seeing none, Chair, recommendations.
Thank you, members. Going on to the next bill, HB 2345. This is with regards to SFA and establishing a geographic CIP districts, I should say. Recommendation is that HD1, starting off on page 4, lines 9 through 13. We're going to take out the phrase facilities development. We're actually going to take out the phrase or facilities development. So we're going to exclude that from that particular process. We're going to add a definition for deferred maintenance per AG's recommendation, and then we'll defect the date to July 1st, 2000. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2345, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Any members voting with reservation? Any members voting no? Seeing none, your Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. We're going to move HB 1780 to the end. So going on to the next bill, which is HB 1785. This is with regards to DOE bus routes, contractors, and performance failure. Members, recommendation is to pass with the HD1. and accept AG's recommendation to add that per new RFPs, they reference the new section of law if this in fact becomes law. I think that's important. We'll also delete subsection F, that's found on page 3, lines 13 through 20. That's with regards to assessing a financial penalty. We think that's going to be too onerous and it's going to discourage people from participating in the RFP process. And we'll defect the date to July 1st, 2000. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Members voting on House Bill 1785, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendment. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Any members voting with reservation? Any members voting no? Seeing none, Chair recommendations adopted.
Thank you, members. We're going to move HB 2454 to the end of the agenda as well. And so we'll go on to the next bill, which is HB 1781. This is with regards to DOE and numeracy coaching. Members, we're going to remove the usage of NAEP per DOE's testimony. That is our random assessment given not to all students, and instead we're going to leave the state assessment, which is given to everybody, and we'll defect the date to July 1st, 2000. Questions, comments, concerns?
Chair, let me just thank you for this measure, for focusing on Hawaii numeracy. It really is important for us to take a look at how we are both assisting our teachers in the classroom as well as our students to gain the math proficiency they need in order to succeed and attain better outcomes in higher education. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Very good bill. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote, please.
Members voting on House Bill 1781, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendment. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Any members voting with reservation? Any members voting no? Seeing none, Chair recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Going on to HB 2297, this is updating statutory framework to ensure federal alignment for adult schools and community programming. Members, we will just simply defect the date. I'm going to add this. Defect the date to July 1st, 3000. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2297, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Any members voting with reservation? Any members voting no? Seeing none, Chair recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. For the next bill, HB 2019. This is DOEL and FCILs. The recommendation is to pass as defecting the date. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2019, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Any members voting with reservation? Any members voting no? Seeing none, Chair recommendations adopted.
Thank you, members. Moving on to the next bill, which is HB 2127. This is regarding civics education and a grant program within DOE schools. Members, we will change the term Office of Curriculum and Instructional Support to the current office name, which is the Office of Curriculum and Instructional Design, just so it's clear. And then we'll defect the date to July 1st, 2000. Questions, comments, concerns? Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on House Bill 2127, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Any members wishing to vote with reservation? Any members voting no? Seeing none, Chair recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Going on to the next bill, which is HB 2470, DOE and financial literacy in schools. Members, per the testimony, the Board of Education is doing something very similar to what this board is articulating, so therefore we will defer. Next is HB 2563. This is with regards to cell phone ban. The Board of Education just passed final approval their policy, which is going to be for elementary and intermediate school, it's going to be prohibited. And for high school, only for instructional purposes, or no, banned during instructional time, I should say. And then there's going to be exceptions for emergencies, also for IEP, which is stated in AG's testimony, and some other exceptions. So for now, we will defer. We're going to defer. They took care of it. Maybe. Next, we have HB 1717. This is antihistamines administered in DOE schools. Members, Per the testimony, I do have concerns with this with regards to health and safety, scope of practice regarding practitioners, so we will also refer to this.
Thank you, Chair. We're gonna vote on two bills, and we move to the end of the agenda. Thank you, Chair, for allowing me to take on these two bills. The first one is House Bill 1780 relating to student transportation. So currently, the Department of Education allows for free bus passes to be provided to those who qualify for free school meals. But as everybody knows, we passed historic landmark legislation last year to expand free school meals to students in unreduced price lunch, as well as beginning next school year students on earning up to 300% of the federal poverty level. So this bill is intended to align student transportation eligibility with free school meals eligibility. So as we expand free school meals up to 300%, it's consistent and equitable, and the bill would reflect that same income determination. So first, the recommendation is to pass an HC1 to, throughout section 3, we will be adding clarifying language so that all references to free or reduced price lunch would be to mean students covered by section 302A-404, and that's a bill we passed last year. We are also going to remove the word automatic in that section and instead provide for streamlined verification to be consistent with existing department parental authorization procedures. And that's it for the amendments and the effective date. Thank you, Chair. Comments, questions, concerns, members?
Thank you, Chair. Members voting on HP 1780, no need to excuse absence of Representative Garrett. Members, are there any no's or reservations? Seeing none, adopted.
Thank you, Chair. Final bill on the agenda. Okay, House Bill 2454. Thank you. This is relating to safe routes to school. So just wanted to share some comments that this bill is really intended to introduce and address a real implementation issue that we're experiencing currently. So last year, the legislature created a dedicated funding stream for safe routes to school through Act 212, thanks to the leadership of Chair Kila from the Transportation Committee. So the question now is how we ensure those funds are translating into installed crosswalks, traffic calming, and safety improvements for our students. And we, of course, received testimony expressing concern because that's on the way that the bill was drafted, but that's not the intent of the bill. And it's not to weaken at all the collaborative structure and all the work that we've done through Act 244 a couple of years ago. We very much appreciate all the work that's being done there. However, we do have existing operational barriers, and we really want to make sure that there's clear collaboration between Department of Transportation and the counties in implementing Act 212 from last year. So the recommendation is to pass an HD1 to restore the language that refers to the advisory committee coordination language, the county coordinator participation language, community engagement requirements, and then education, any education workshop type of component. So we're gonna remove the strike-throughs and revert back to the original language on 291-C3. However, we will accept Hawaii Department of Transportation's amendments and add it as a new subsection to clarify and strengthen DOT's authority over infrastructure project delivery while maintaining the existing Safe Routes to School framework. So really, we want to preserve the existing structure, but then also to make sure that projects don't stall and are obligated in a timely manner, we will make sure that the DOT has the authority and coordination needed to step in as necessary. So, and I think that's it for my comments and amendments, Chair. Thank you. Members, any additional comments?
Comment. Thank you, and I want to acknowledge, I think, the concerns that were raised, and I don't think that is the committee's intent to try to dilute the authority that has been put forth, but I would be remiss to not share it was frustrating to be revealed in testimony today that a member from one Honolulu County Transportation Agency was not aware of not the most significant measure to support the county's for this mechanism, and even more so the impetus of the bill like this that exists today. So I would ask, as we continue moving forward, my concerns have been raised, and I would hope that the counties and the different agencies would work expeditiously to implement what I would consider, if not the most dedicated funding source to the legislature that was asked upon us last year that wasn't enacted. So I will be voting yes because of everything that's come forth today, and I hope we can continue the dialogue.
Thank you so much. Any other comments, concerns? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Members voting on HB 2454, noting the excused absence of Representative Garrett. Members, are there any other reservations or no's? Seeing none, recommendation adopted.
Chair, we will adjourn.